you wanted to address, is this person, the parent, not just giving because they are mean? And would a parent, really a parent, Monyuala Nyathine, want Nyathine to be deprived when they can afford? I think that is a difficult question, and we need to maybe chambua it. I don't know what the other people are, or the other people can want
Okay.
to in. Yes.
I get it. GK, karibu sana. I missed you. I'm glad you're around now. So I was talking about the aspect of a parent whom
Mm-hmm,
the only reason for denying you something
mm-hmm,
is because they also grew up without it and they survived anyway. So,
mm-hmm,
for example, an example includes where you had shoes,
mm-hmm,
they are old,
mm-hmm.
and sometimes a parent's way of expressing issues is quite different. Instead of telling you bado sina pesa nitakununulia baadaye, enda na hizo
Mm-hmm.
told nyisini kata wanua school maunge uwache. So can if like when people reflect back or when people express from back then when they were growing up as an excuse for not doing something right or for doing something which is wrong, do we say they are carrying forward their early life experience?
Okay. I guess for
Even
me, Aviji,
okay, thank you.
in a normal parental instinct, kata ka nidhi school without watch, donge ne in those days, I know we keep on throwing that ni an nadhi school, an nachako school maonge wuoche, or ne wating'o nyoyo e jwala or something like that. To a normal parental instinct when you have, I think the only problem will be maybe they are using their experiences to sort of like disguise and not have a candid conversation. If they do not have the money, it is just better to say they cannot. I will consider it, but I can't buy. But if a parent that honestly they have and they are using that as an excuse and they are implementing it, that is an abuse. That is a child abuse, and that is a child abuse that and the deprivation that really demoralizes a child and exposes a child to intense trauma. But if they don't, and I think we need also to consider some of these traumatic episodes in childhood or in parental and a parent-child situation is a communication issue. How do you communicate as a parent? Because I think there's a language that we normally teach in parenting. When you're parenting 0 to 6, when you're parenting 6 to 12, when you're parenting 12 to around 18, and then around now a child who is beyond 18, that is now you are more or less the same. You are now becoming an advisor, so more or less your communication and the language differs. So how do you communicate this information? Even if I wanted to tell you want to dear, but it also is contextual. Those times even getting shoe was, even the butter were very few, lots of watch a cobbler. But right now where you can find shoe and comfortable, even if they are black and they are reasonable, and everybody, because what do you do when a child has a torn uniform in an environment where children are in school and they have good uniform? What does that do to the brain of that child? Do they feel, because they would be also bullying and mocking in school? So what does that do to that child? So I guess it may be something that is difficult if a parent can decide that they grew up that way. And but the question you are asking, could it be that they are exhibiting trauma? I do not think at that particular time a parent will be exhibiting trauma. A parent may just be not loving to a child, whatever reason why he's doing that. And there is projection of parenting. Sometimes maybe if it's a mother, is it that this mother feels that something happened between But if it is they are whether it's a single parent, biological, is the father of this child, is it projecting? I think those are some of the scenarios that we need to look at, because really a real parent, if you have, I do not think that the parental instinct will want you to deny your child something as basic as what they used to go to school. If you are committed to education, unless you also don't want them to go to school, you want them to drop out.
Okay.
So it is a difficult scenario, but I think they could be projection as well. I don't think that going to school without shoe at this particular point should be something that a parent should be projecting if they have something. But if they keep on saying, they could be hiding something. They could be something that they have not dealt with, or they could be either they have conflict. Some conflicts are not overt in homes, so that's why the places where children are being socialized is we said we should take it for the best interest of the child. Is that the best interest of the child? Because if
Yeah.
it is the best interest, we need to look at the best interest of the child. And some of the relationships that we normally go through, you find that somebody would be rich, but they will not give the child back, because either they don't like the spouse, or maybe they got into this marriage when they were not ready for it, and then he's harboring some of the things, but then he's using excuses. Alternatively, but I don't think a real parent now who has God has given the resources would be able to tell. But if they tell that child that way, it's either that they still, they could still that they still don't like their past, and they have not dealt with their past, and they need to deal with their past.
All right. Thank you. I'm just going to ask one more question before we take a break. There is the aspect of acute trauma and other types of traumas like the chronic and the complex ones.
Mhm.
And you realize it's different how grown-ups handle these kinds of trauma based on how on their differences. But I'm going to ask about acute trauma. For
Mhm.
example, when a child loses a parent
Mhm.
at an early stage, and when an adult loses a parent or experiences a particular kind of loss that comes just suddenly, is there a difference in their methods of coping? Like how fast can, let's say, comparatively, the child and the adult, they suffer a particular kind of loss at the same time, which has almost the same effect on them, but do we have a particular scope of healing when it comes to adults and children, when with the trauma? Do people heal differently or handle them differently based on the age difference?
Trauma, whether acute trauma will, for the two of them, let's say a loss. A child may experience loss differently depending on their age, because some of them have not understood the effect of that loss depending on their age.
All right. Daktari, check if your microphone is
Book,
muted.
yeah. Oh, mute. Yeah. Okay, she's back.
Daktari, please check if your microphone is muted so that we can hear you. You're not audible.
Technical.
Hello.
Yeah. All
Hello.
right. She's back.
I'm
Okay.
okay.
Hello. Dimbele, Wabinji.
Okay. I don't know where I am right now.
I think you're
I've
just
lost.
going to start from answering it from the beginning because we didn't get the first bit of it.
Okay. I am saying that the trauma episode may be the same, but the way that people will cope will be different. Yeah. So the reason why it will be different is because of the resilience and how people have been socialized to take in a little bit. There are those people that have developed such that they are able to deal with shocks very quickly, and then they get to understand. But I think in terms of trauma, you wouldn't be able to know its effect. I think the best thing is to get the support, because it is the support, somebody who gives you the support and assesses how that trauma may manifest later, is the person who can help you to cope, to understand the situation. Some of the situations are very difficult to understand. So that is why I am saying sometimes it's very difficult to deal with that trauma. So I hope that I'm okay. I've lost you guys. I don't know where my studio, whatever is. Somebody made me a
We are
call.
getting you.
Okay.
We hearing you perfectly, perfectly. That's why we are quiet.
So I am just
Yeah.
saying that for me,
I think it's muted.
I don't know whether it's her network. Something is happening.
Yeah, I think there's an issue. It's either muted or it's a network problem.
She's not muted. When she's muted, we we can see. We can pick it up here.
I think it's a connection issue then. Oda, cheka negi fundi niwa mitambo, what could be happening?
Right. They are on it. They are on it. Right. We bringing Atari back. Something has happened to her. She's actually dropped. So we're bringing her back. There you go. She's back. Okay.
yeah, there was a
Right.
phone that I'm using my phone, and my phone was giving, somebody was
Okay.
interrupting, so I've stopped them.
No,
So
perfect. So
Sorry
now,
about that.
so the acute trauma, yes, whether it is acute or is chronic or complex trauma, the issue of how the children may cope with acute trauma in a very adverse way compared to an adult. But even some adults cope like children, depending on the relationship that you had, or if it is death, for example. So we normally these days advise that we give children who have lost their parents, we have children's child's therapist. We normally take them to therapists. We normally tell them what the death entails, even when they go through the mourning, because they would see people in their homes, people that they had not seen, wailing. If it is an environment where they were in town, they have not seen. Kama itere dhok maji ywak gi dhok ma dhok odonjo would be a little bit threatening to children. So that preparation of the whole episode of death, sometimes if the environment that they are going to encounter during the preparation and the burial of a loved one is something that we need to manage. If that context is adult may just deal with the relationship that they had with the person that is lost, but everybody needs an accompaniment when they get acute trauma. Everybody would need to have some accompaniment. You will need to assess how then this is likely to affect them long term, their daily work at school. You need to start early so that when you can take them when they come back. They are coming to school, maybe they are coming back within 2 weeks. Is that enough for you to have stabilized them to fit in school and without recalls of what is affecting their learning and cognitive function? So I guess that is something in acute trauma. When you come to chronic trauma, it is intense and it is something that must be dealt with both in adults. But you are right, trauma, you can you can get the same level of intensity of trauma, but the way people respond to trauma, the way people take trauma, the length that of coping depends on an individual, and how that relationship and the environment where they are coming from. If it's very threatening, this was somebody that was the key sole provider. Now you are wondering how this world is going to treat you, and somebody, so that is somebody that needs a lot more in accompaniment, and just talk to them that there is hope beyond this. It's not very easy to tell people that when they have lost everything that they think they have in the world, that that is the role that we need to do. The ministry of the present sometimes is important. Sometimes you don't need to take, because if you stalk, people get even more traumatized. The issue, like, I can understand, nobody understands the nature of the trauma that has gone to another person. So perhaps sometimes sitting and allowing them, when they don't want to talk, you will, but when they talk, and if you are their confidant, but somebody who is confident, somebody, everybody coming to ask you question will not know where your mind is, and that may be even causing secondary trauma. So I think we need just to contextualize how that works. But true, yes, people respond differently. Yeah.
Thank you. One last question. We've talked so much about how we're dealing with psychological issues and emotional distress and carrying them forward, and we haven't talked about healing them. I think we're going to talk about healing them in our second phase after the break. There is the aspect of physical trauma, like things that are caused, things that we can't cope with, but they are physical, other than the emotional torture and the issues that are psychological.
Mm.
Let me put this into context. I am a firstborn. Growing up, I grew up with my siblings, and every time there was a mistake, at first I would be reprimanded for it if it was my mistake. And then with the time, when I got to 8, 9 years old, there was the aspect of bring the cane because I've been talking and you're not listening, so leta kiboko, and then mtu anachapwa, and then kose chwadi. The next thing is you are now an example.
Mm-hmm.
Ni neno kaka na chwado ng'ani imba biro chwadu, and then theirs ends there, or idhi chwadi ne makosagi. And then with the time, I developed this habit of, when I'm left with my siblings, and
Mm-hmm.
then niambiwe utapatia watoto uji,
Mm.
and there is the option of tea, and they refuse to take the uji because there is tea. But I know when the parent comes back ataniuliza mbona sikupatia watoto uji, togen mana getamore ningechapwa. So what I would do is naenda naleta kiboko tabira bedogo piny
Mm-hmm.
kakono gi madhuru nyukano ng'ama ok omadho nyukano tachwado, because at the end of the day mimi ndio nitachapwa. And then this habit continued for some time, and they realized ni mam dhi chwade, koro en be nyaka ochwadwa mondo watim gini mondo kik chwade, you see. And I had a mark. Nikech olando. So I was left with a mark. And sometimes the reason why I'm talking about physical
Mm-hmm.
aspects of trauma
Mm-hmm.
is ng'ato nigi mbala moro which they got in a certain way which was not really pleasant. Could be chronic, could be complex or acute kind of trauma. Maybe they fell off a bicycle or something of that sort. But whenever they see that mark, it becomes a trigger
Mm-hmm.
to, whatever happened those days. Maybe you were not there, but now that once they're triggered, they project it to you. How do we deal with this kind of person? Like, what kind of step do we take towards their healing? Because there is a way, other than the emotional side that you can't see. Mbala moro in godo mane paso wangi kosekweri tugo gi pas kasto ka pas no se wangi to chwadi, and then you carry that like nilichapo instead of kusaidiwa, you see. So how do we get to deal with this?
Very complex, very complex situation, but it's a normal situation in most of the homes where we have
It
grown.
is African
Yeah.
homes, it is.
Yeah, it's a very complex. It's complex, but it is the situation. You see, it starts from the physical, and then it now goes to psychosocial. It's now go to psychosomatic. So the you when you see the mbala becomes a trigger to what the cane did to you, which then sits in somewhere in your. It's now psychosocial or psychological now. Um you can't, even if you do repair the bala, which we can say you will repair it, it still will remain katako se konye ko los ne plastic surgery mu goli. Still ibiro chako wacho an nantie gimoro ka nyiso ga ji ni kamoro ka en nitie mano chwada ni koro kata ko selal matin to poda nyiso ni mama chieng' moro no chwada kamoro ka you see. So for me, I think we need just to acknowledge there were things that happened. It is the fact that the trauma will be there, but that is, we are not going to remove the fact that you were caned. We are going not to remove the fact that that caused some trauma or wound in you. So how do we deal with the wound? The wound will first of all want that we acknowledge we have that wound. But is it the wound that we want to carry now? Because what will be the impact of carrying that wound? So you may need somebody to walk you through how then you get it from the subconscious level. And I have a daughter who I was very naughty when she was in whatever, but sometimes she reminds me, "Hey, mom, don't get any cheng moroni again. You used to beat me and daddy." So I couldn't tolerate. Now, what do you want to do? Eh, apenje ni to ne wago you for nothing. So for me, what I did with that girl, I knew that I from the number of times that she kept on asking me that question, that we kept on beating her. One day I sat with her down and I said, Leila, let me also acknowledge that maybe we knew Newachuadi, yes. To Koro, first of all, let me start from this point. I'm your mom. And then Ukagini is a burden to you. Let me apologize. Let me upfront apologize. Ni kenewatimo newachuadi ane nukagino is bothering you. It may even hinder you doing certain things. But God, my God, look at it. Each time you remember Nino Chuadi to you are always like you seem to be better, and that is can we sit and talk about it? So I'm the one who introduced the thing, and as soon as I put her name and talk about that thing, nikija saying, do we want us to look at the environment under which you are chweto no biro? Ni mama I know, and makuro chako ni mama I know, yes, I used to go to you with what Belinda, and you people did not want my friends and blah blah blah, and sometimes I would overtly do this. I said, so koro one two culprits here, how do we deal with it? So uko mom, now that you have acknowledged that you people killed me, see, now I feel better. It is okay, and now she has stopped talking about it. So I think sometimes it is just an opportunity. If the person who caused the pain is available, is it something that people can talk about? Like my daughter, the father had passed on. She had also an episode that she thought the father did not handle well. But out of my children, she's the one who is outspoken. Even the others were beaten, but the other don't seem to have carried those pains too much like this second girl. So then one day she told me, "Oh, that there was a time that you did what I couldn't let." It's just the same way. Like I was the one who was bad at caning. Daddy was a little bit nice and taking you guys out. I'm the one who was the worst disciplinarian. Now that it happened with Daddy is normal. We still want to carry that wound. You want us to address it. You want me to sit down and we address it. I will apologize. I said, no, Daddy. I was just bringing it, Mom. It's not that it's something that I'm holding on anybody. So sometimes acknowledging and just candidly talking about it helps. So I don't know if it can't help you with the first a light person to talk about it, somebody that you can talk about it. Then you can get a psychotherapist or you can get a therapist to help you through, because then it's sitting at somewhere at your subconscious level, that each time that you see that wound, it gives you a trigger. So we need just to help We need to help that come out, so that it doesn't become that when you see, we need to numb it. We need to numb that trigger, so that when you see that place, maybe sometimes you see it and it is in a place where it has spoiled your beauty. So we need to talk about that. As it spoils their BP, do you think you'd have done things much better if it wasn't there? So I think then you just need somebody to help you through, so that that pain can be removed, and then there's a place for forgiveness and for moving on. So I don't know if I've answered, or don't know if I've made it even
Thank
worse.
you. Yeah, thank you. We're going to take a break before we move to the second part of the program. And Daktari, we on the second part, we're going to talk about how to handle all this, how to help us heal, how the people in our environment could, assist in breaking the cycle of projecting this kind of trauma to the next generation. So, Oda, back to you as we take a break. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mokwongo, before we go for a break, because we're going for a break, Daktari, thank you. Thank you. Take a breather, have some water or some juice or coffee if you are coffee. If you abuse coffee like me and Ramoth GK. GK, welcome. Thank you very much and karibu sana. Odwa wanga gi mach ka program poko chakre. Ne duol machielo tada kwa winyi. Koro mos jogi kapok wadhi break mondo ging'e ni nitiere. Erokamano GK.
I'm also Nikwara Mogite, called the host, called the guest Mantika Bono. And Rokamano Urukum Betka. Ngeno about them bele podi Rokamano.
Erokamano GK. We're taking a break in Yukwaramogi. We're taking a break. What is coming through for me? Traumatic events program the mind and body to respond quickly and aggressively to events. So that when any event may cause harm, it's helpful that they react very quickly, and these things sometimes, if that whatever is coming, the brain feels it might harm them, they can become very extremely destructive in a normal relationship of life. Apparently, Dr. Christine is bringing that out very well. I must mention before we go for break, I'm so impressed with the people talking here, the Dr. Christine and the Luo girl are generations apart. So I think this is the best that it can be, because the the generation that is molding and mentoring the young generation, you listen to them communicate and you know that Nyiluo are up to it. Well done, Nyiluo. We are proud of you. What docket kendo wadwa goyo ne Mama Christine, because we honor her. GKE Yonge Kabasele is a nephew to Dr. Christine. So ohero thumbe Kabasele. Wadhi e break matin kae to waduogo. GK koro kaw kofi akia ni se kawe apong'o marani. Aya, erokamano.
Baba, asembo kokise. Yeah. Baba, yeah. Asembo kokise. Oui. Paulina Milaida na nyaseme nyako dongo. Ina piti ndaduoga kama yandala lepi moro. Awora sembo kokise kamunge oramba. Awora sembo kokise, yeah, yeah. Awora sembo kokise, yeah, yeah. Jis joka doyo, joko diambo duto mono ngwonae. Aworo sana, baba woda doyo lotero. Oika onge pabo mino digo kodoracha. Oika onge pabo mino yer wono finyo. Oika onge pabo mino leche kodakeo. Oika onge ogola woda doyo tuon ratego. Oika onge baba woda chola koda dwele. Oika onge babo ke kodongo semelango. Oika onge babo mino kinda kodarage. Oika onge babo mine lijo diambo. Oika onge babo minadero won kondo. Oika onge baba yurojiwa kodobago. Oika onge baba wodongo koda wanjere. Oika onge baba mini rosa umba. Aya yeru atuono si mimi achopo turu adala. Oh baba. Aya yeru atuono si mimi achopo turu adala. Ah baba mpendwa, kufa kwako tabu kwetu sisi watoto yako mama. Yeah. Asemboko kisepacho. Paulina milaida na nyasemenya kodongo. Kinda pintinda duogo akama yanalale pinmoro. Awada semboko kise kamunge oramba. Awada semboko kise yeah, yeah. Awada semboko kise yeah, yeah. Nyisi joka doyo joko diambo duto manongwonae. Aworo sana baba woda doyo lotero. Oika onge babo mino digo kodoracha. Oika onge babo mino yer wono finyo. Oika onge babo mino leche kodakeo. Oika onge gola woda doyo tuono ratego. Oika onge baba woda chola koda dwele. Oika onge babo ke kodongo semelango. Oika onge babo mino kinda kodarage. Oika onge babo mine lijo diambo. Oika onge babo minadero won kondo. Oika onge baba yorojiwa kodobago. Oika onge baba wodongo koda wanjere. Oika onge baba mini rosa uma. Aya yeru atuono si mimi achopo turu adala. Aya yeru atuono si mimi achopo turu adala. Yeah. Baba, baba, asembo kokise. Passage. Malita waroka kosiko, oh, babiti makamanango. Malita waroka kosiko, oh, babiti makamanango. Anmaniembe pachoko, so, oh, soko siringa nango baba. Anmaniembe pachoko, so, oh, soko siringa nango baba. Uchopo kamanyo chaduogo kokise. Tokoliringa nango baba. Ochopo kamanyo chaduogo kokise. Tokoliringa nango baba. Ratego dat nirita iwoda dela. Onda makelwe tikende baba. Ratego dat nirita iwoda dela. Onda makelwe tikende baba. Mondi mosa tigo no riti bende. Mondi mosa tigo no riti bende. Baba korionge, yawiwe wakie malich. Baba korionge, yawiwe wakie malich. Mama, iwa ya tataranga ibandeko. Loretie, soi kwetu nyumbani. Kongoni, wa mama. Tabu mingi duniani kwangu, juu yake kifo yake baba yangu mupendwa Joshua Fredi Ogola Adoyo. Anyakaro Diambo, Asembo Kokise Kwaya. Oh Peter, Peter Doyo wa mama.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much and welcome back. Welcome back to today's discussion brought to you by Ramogi Cultural Institute for Luo Heritage Research and Education. We are very humbled to host Dr. Christine Sadia, who is a renowned researcher and a practitioner in public health. And the topic today is around hidden wounds. And we've had the first part, which has been quite interactive, and it is being moderated by the Luo girls. And therefore, I'm just a host, and GK Ramoth is a host. But before I hand over to the Luo girls, I need their guidance. I've got 3 questions from different people that I've sent. So I don't know how they want us to go about this, but back to you, the Luo girls. You let me know how you want us to do this. But I've got 3 questions from that has been sent to us. Thank you.
Erokamano, George. I think we're just going to continue with the interaction. Go poka winjo duond Ramoth, and then we're going to take the questions. So if that can work for both of us. Daktari intiere.
Auntie,
Erokamano. We say that in this next phase we're going to talk about how to deal with these issues, emotional, psychological, and the physical kinds of trauma that we go through in childhood, in during the adolescence period, and some are catching us even in adulthood. So let's first take it from the parental side. Is there a way that parents can, help their children overcome trauma? Not really avoid them, because, as we had said, people perceive things differently. Something that you might perceive as normal could traumatize me so bad. So, is there a way that parents can assist their children in overcoming trauma?
erokamano. Yes, I think parents are very key in helping. They are the primary caregivers for a child who is traumatized. So it is important for janyuol mondo ng'e ni nyathi ma kane behave kamae, ng'ato ka ng'ato, you need to know your child so that when a trauma occurs or when the child is maybe even if it's trauma caused at home, But now, when the trauma goes beyond a certain level, that you see the coping, the child cannot cope and it's exhibiting symptoms of a traumatic event, then the parent is the critical primary giver to help that child. But before I address the how help is being provided, let me just say trauma responses typically include certain tributes that people need to check. One is called fight, one is called flight, one is freeze, and sometimes it's found. The fight normally manifests in aggression, trouble concentrating, and irritability, anger, hyperactivity, and agitation. Those are the ones that want to fight back. The flight involves withdrawal, avoidance, isolation, and escapism. Freeze leads to a numbness, zoning out, and daydreaming or over compliance. Yeah, jok makuru kawacho anything goes. Then fun is characterized by excessive conflict avoidance and hasty thinking during stressful events. So having understood the impact of that trauma then helps and I help to identify symptoms and to provide proper support that is needed. So, meaning when a parent understands their normal behavior with their children and there's something that is departing from that particular child the behavior, then it is very critical for the parent to begin to find out what is happening. Because even if they cannot directly help, then they become a conduit of where support can be found. But if a parent becomes like complacent and do not want to, even if they know that that trauma could be coming from home, and I want to give a typical point. Inyalo yudo ni nyathi moro kata nidhi go ka wuongi, obed ng'ama nyako, obed ng'ama wuoyi, tiyudo ni either the parent, the foster parent sometimes or ok treat the same way that they are treating the others, or a mother comes to the child and the same happens to that child begins to get fear and begins to be resentful to or exhibit certain behaviors that needs to be helped. Koro, I think it is important. The question you ask, how can parents help? Parents are key in helping. Sometimes they know the source of the trauma. Sometimes they, because of the communal or because of shame or because they do not want to acknowledge, then they would be complacent, they will be hiding. That even is going not going to help the child. But I wish that all parents could acknowledge in whatever situation that the children needs safe, they need safe environment, they need love, but also they need to cope with the traumas that they have gone through. And for them to cope, there must be a level of either openness that they need to exhibit. If you are not close to the child, so the child can trust you and open up, then the help becomes a little bit difficult to provide. But once you become to be a friend of that child, even if you are not before, but you find a way around the heart of a child, they will be able either to disclose what happened. It may happen at home, it may happen at school, it may happen at the community, but then you become then the source of the primary caregiving of helping the child. So yes, I can say parents need to find ways to help the child. You may not be a professional, but you are the caregiver. You are the ones who will help that child to reach the professional. You are the one who will help to say, this child used to behave like this. Now the behavior pattern or the mood or the whatever, they lock themselves, or I suspect that they are now in their coping mechanism could be like they are taking drugs, or they are taking they are doing things that are bizarre, either to annoy or hit back at the parent. So the parents need to know that so that they don't take that hitting back is normal. They need to have a little bit of content and then do what we call they scan the environment and just see what could be happening to the child. So I want to say yes, they are very critical primary caregiving to helping that child.
Thank you. About coping mechanisms and the environment, You realize people, basically children, have different personalities. Everyone has a different personality. And to some point, you realize these personalities gives people a particular opinion about an individual. If you're always a silent person, maybe someone might think you're just ignoring them. If you are a loud person, maybe they might think you talk too much, uko na kierere, I think anima wewe and the environment that you grow up in, if it doesn't understand personality, it is if it has a particular expectations for a child or for a teenager growing up, you realize they draw some sort of judgment against you. And this comes in when you are already coping with something that also happened based on your personality. You see, like the parents wenye umefanya makosa anakuchapa, you're trying to explain what really happened, but they tell you to shut up because you're talking back, or you're just silent because either way atakwambia unyamaze, and they tell you you're disrespectful because you're now silent. Ile ya awuoyo kodi telling or awuoyo kodi tidwoko recorder, it's the same thing. You start talking, they tell you to keep quiet. You keep quiet, they tell you to start talking. And this is now going to go deep, like into an individual's personality. And then you tell yourself, if I talk, they'll tell me to keep quiet. If I keep quiet, they'll ask me to talk. So you choose maybe silence, or you choose to explain your side of the story. And then comes the society. They have a particular opinion towards you based on your personality. So that when you pick a coping mechanism to trauma, withdrawal, some end up in drugs, you realize you distance yourself from the community, or you get too much engaged with the community. And the community or an environment, comprises of the parents, your siblings, at school you have teachers, or just in the village. If you grew up in a village where ukiwe dhoko cha mupus ng'ato to ng'ata ng'ata moyudi nyalo chwadi, that also happens. So how does the society at large, teachers, uh, siblings, or just people you're living with in the same environment, is there a way that they could be contributing to healing of these wounds, especially after a perception about you came out, and you're just trying to make things right? Is there a way in which they can contribute to an individual's healing?
Yeah, I let me start. Yes, that what you have described is a very common phenomena, especially in the rural setting, maybe urban, because we are living different what in maybe close spaces, we don't interact with communities, but in the rural home, yes, the rural home, the urban home may be even a little bit more traumatizing, because you experience that within the home environment, and when you leave, you go to school, you already carry the baggage, like you have already been judged. Your character has been assassinated. You have not been given an opportunity to explain what you feel, why you don't want to respond when you are asked to respond, because maybe you feel you are misunderstood. So who is likely to get you better understood is to cope with your situation, is the valve that we need to look at. In the rural village, yes, you find that will happen to home, but I normally tend to think that there will be somebody that will be able to understand, especially if you either go to a church environment, if it is happening in your home, in within your home environment, you interact with either teachers, they need to be able to pick that there's something happening, because I'm sure when that happens to you and you internalize it, if you don't internalize it, it doesn't show, but if you internalize it, what you will do, it even will affect your withdrawal at school. That means if you have taken that coping mechanism of not wanting to talk, or you withdraw, if you are somebody who was interacting, putting your hand up in school and answer question, you will begin to now withdraw, so that even when you are being asked, the teacher will notice that you are not behaving the same way you used to behave. Or if you attend maybe a religious setting or a church, people or your peers would begin to notice there's something that, and that is the point where help needs to be found. Whether they have enough time to pick, or whether there's a particular somebody who has concern, I know during our time teachers will pick those kind of things, irrespective of whether they had been certified therapists or trained therapists. They would think Ngane is behaving differently. Ngane yangu mathagi. So at that point, there was room. I think maybe the schools were not congested. We were not too many. You will find that somebody or madam is assigned to call you, to talk to you, to find out what is happening. Once they know how to happen, I recall that there are certain instances where, because they were part of that community and they were very close, they were not teachers that are posted from very far. They will find a way to the heart of your mom and talk to them how that is affecting you and your character, and that how that will inhibit your growth in educational attainment. So I guess that used to be talked about. What you are saying is real situation. It's a real difficult environment, but I guess help can still be found. Help can come if you were like the ones that the mother says, don't go to discuss home things with other people. It becomes a little bit closed. It becomes, so it is like you have your own issues and there's nowhere to express them. But I guess there's a role of where either your siblings also and the school setting, teachers, religious leaders, community leaders, like community health workers should be able to, like in Saradidi, when we were doing the Saradidi Rural Health Project, which is the global norm for the community health worker after Alma-Ata. We used to attach community Nyamrero, as we used to call them, attached to each certain number of homes. Part of that was also to look at the welfare of children. They could come when they are checking things in the children nutrition and the like. They will also pick whether children are able to talk and say if they are being molested. I know right now we did some work in my home area, and whereas before the incest was not something that the laws would talk about, but right now it is something that is very rampant. I don't know why it has cropped up. We are getting girls that have gone through, and boys also that got a lot of incest. So I said what I can affirm that the role of the teachers, community, or anybody who lives with the old kin system used to have an auntie that would come and find out how you guys are doing. Yeah, because even characters of mothers and whatever challenges mothers were going through, whether they were also going through their own, they were being abused and by aggressive husband, and they were projecting on children. The community had a coping mechanism, but that system has broken down. So right now we are looking from outside help, but there are those that will report, there are those that will not report. They are not going to report, they are going to seek help, they will tell somebody what they are going through. There are those that are close that will not go to say what is happening to them. So in that case, you continue to suffer. The stressor is not removed, so that will continue at the home, and that just deepens your emotional turmoil, and at some point you may break down. No wonder sometimes we get suicide among very young children. Well, yeah, they are children, they are not even adolescents and youth. So this is happening in our environment today, so it's something that we need all to be aware and be on the lookout to check. I hope that if there is any rejoinder, I will be able to take it.
Erokamano, we're just going to take questions from the audience and order Paroni Kurupulumari.
Erokamano. Thank you, the Luo girl. Thank you, Dr. Christine. And GK Ramoth, who is with us listening to us. GK ngene chieng ma kama okuoga. Koro
Okay.
kedwa no wuote
Okay.
ichule. Dr. Christina, I have got three questions from the audience, three different people. One actually wanted to come in and ask, but then I think she has said, no, it's fine. Just ask for me. So I'll go straight to the first question. And I read as they've come. Many children who experience trauma never become violent or disruptive, while others do. From a psychosocial and public health perspective, what factors determine whether childhood trauma develops into behavioral problems, and what protective factors help children to become resilient instead? You and the Luo girl had handled a bit of this, if I can think correctly. But just in a nutshell, the question is, what protective factors help children become resilient instead of being disruptive or violent when they experience trauma? That's the first question.
Yeah, I think we had handled that, but maybe let me just buttress a bit of that. We had looked at the traits. People do not experience trauma the same way. The same intensity of trauma may cause different reaction in different person. It varies significantly. Approaches will vary significantly from a person to person. The traits that the behaviors that they bring. One, it could be an issue of like resilience, your agency. You have developed an agency because of the environment under which you have grown, and you are able either to internalize it very differently. The intensity of that trauma may not affect you as much as it's affecting. It is not an issue of, it may be, we are, like I said, we are studying the genomics right now, whether it comes from a genome, a type of a genome that is protective, but that has not been concluded. Researches are going on. But what we know, that the environmental conditioning, the way that you have been self-assertiveness, have you been allowed to develop agency so that you could either talk about it, or you could with other your peers, or you could go and confide in somebody, or you could you are brave enough to go to a pastor and talk about it. Some just decide it is a fait accompli, I will live with it, but they keep on getting down and down, and they do not address their. So what you find in those that they become more withdrawn, they're more submissive, as a coping mechanism. And you find that those that are even submissive, sometimes you find they even get into other areas where they are abused and traumatized. So there are those then that will say, no, I'll fight it out, because they feel that the level where they are, or their nature, their innate nature, which is from inside, if we look from gender perspective, their agency has been developed, or they have talked to their peers and they say, no, this is your right. So they take it from a right perspective that she wants to fight. So they said, I'll fight it out, I'll be aggressive, whatever, this person cannot do this to me. Either I will shout, I'll also defend myself. So it will not affect them differently, but the majority of the children, if they do not get a safe space, then you find that they are withdrawn. They will not talk about their experiences. They keep on getting deeper and deeper behavior, more subtle. They don't want to react. You will tell them, go do this. You tell them, do this. They will do that even when they know that the thing that they're supposed to do is not correct. So I hope that I've addressed that.
Only.
Yes, GK.
Uh, Pamosi Luogal angeni misa tarali.
Yeah, more.
Ok na amua. Atelo, nitie gima timrega in this especially gigging, ma we do not consider. So majority of times kwawuoyo about watching psychology of children, wawuoyo about white children. With white children as a model. I mean, come on. A psychological makeup marwa kaka joroteng is a little different ka mawazungu nikech we were the first human beings on the planet, and for a very long time no one can to be the first human beings on the planet. Kiachoni the human being no evolve in Africa. Me a very different information minyalo tiyo go as part of the identity. So ineno kaka in many of these circumstances, watching like that question more pain, culture plays a very big part. Culture plays a very big part. Nikech ka culture maru is orientated ni suffering is part of the process. Watching rituals kaka circumcision ang'o ibo yudo ni these people's makeup mar ok gibineno so trauma as something ma koro gik moko kethre. Giboneno as a process of growing up kata the process of being. So culture bedoga put to the side nikech wa study most of psychology kaka wasome is from Europeans to gin cultural makeup is very strange. Kaka gin Greek, gin Roman, or gin German, pod gisort that issue out. Kata kineno kaka Freud nogolo some Greek things, some Greek theories emoketo kanyo, and you wonder kas really works for psychology, man, the first human beings on the world. The second thing maseche moko be contribute ga the personality model magitiyogo, the personality models motiyogo iwiye can also really nyalo keto really a big difference on their resistance to waluonge quote unquote trauma. Nikech ka personality model motiyogo wach nogole from the grandfather to grandfather oseng'ise this is how, for example, okawo story kaka manwasomo kate ineno seche moko kaka mar Abong'o omiye a model of how psychology of a personality model. Nabongo is someone and long suffering. I mean, need patience, gimonyalo kwenye, but and long suffering. Such a person bedo exposed to that again model, no. Moloyo ngamoket or come up with a Christian personality model. Ma en sinner from the beginning. Ntie difference mabo wuok kanyo. So the personality models be okbed ga checked. Majority of times en mana the history alafu ichake with the model of gima experience no. To kataka, especially in African case, nyathini ka experience this thing or experience it from a historical perspective. Nikech okelo some data, okelo some history to the problem. So mano be contribute to people dealing with the trauma differently. Nikech kata ka gin different people, but onge ng'ama onge, there is nobody, unless en a mad person tiego, but onge ng'ama onge a personality model. Obed strong, obed weak, and these personality models vary. They vary. Kaka, for example, kaka daktari name you example, this daughter, and then no goy. This is no goy. And the others went through the process, talk Marco. But more Marco. So in the older context, African healthy would recognize no okay, manga ma different. Maybe kata the personality model mobirogo and the characteristics nekako form, okay? How they have been formed or characteristics, the resources ma intigo kako bedo formed and good for this particular purpose, but okay, good for this particular purpose. Yani kaka community osebedo raised. This model mobiro goni and this specific arrangement mar resources mobiro goni is good for bet wach nyamrerwa. Ineno. Onyalo bet nyamrerwa maber. But kokete ni ik compare as children, okofit. Okofit nikech emomiyo wacho ni wa judge gi from a very modern perspective. Ni ineno ni such jobs kaka nyamrerwa is not so highly prized sani, but that historical context, that historical experience maluo nyamrerwa has not disappeared. So more children bobiro with this makeup of resources to gibo always bedo misdiagnosed. Nikech i culture moland go psychology ma jogi, nyamrerwa is not really there. Kata a particular type of ajuoga. This is our historical experience. We cannot deny it or say bait. And there's been people who have perfected that personality within the society. So ngato koduogo with this makeup, genealogical makeup of these resources, obedo misdiagnosed. Always. So mano ema keloga these differences. In other words, kelo these differences. Gin more confusing to us as Africans nikech ok waketega in our context of our history, context of our culture, of our personality models. Wakao mana ma joka nonyiso, a child is a child and it's like this. So those things contribute differently to reactions to the Walungen trauma. Like this. Waduok nigo.
Thank
Erokamano TK. Aparo yes, adwani Dr. Christine adwani igine wachane kanyo to aparo ni it ties up the main theme of what you said ni people experience um, trauma and any other thing that they have got different experiences towards the same thing. Ajang chiwo example mar ni, and you also said it earlier ni wawachone ga ng'ato ni we know how you feel or we understand how you feel. Aparo mano is the biggest lie ever mosegabeti nikech kata bed mana ni ng'ato say ni wuon gi ema tho to in be wuonu notho mbele kacha tiwachone ni mos ang'e kaka ifeel. Aparo ni mano miriambo nikech nyalo bedo ni relationship ma ng'ani nigo e kindgi gi babagi could be different from how you related to your father. So aparo ne en ga a bit of gimara moth wacho ni nyaka waka every concept and aspect ka watimo these diagnoses nikech for example experiences opogore. Nyithindo can go through the same thing but ka walamp gi up no magi gin nyithindo to daktari kendo wadoko kuomi imiwa very good example. Nyithindi went through the same things but achiel is outspoken about the same thing until you had to sit them down. We also have gone through that. Tiemo koma ma gin gima normal mani timone motelo cha matin ni kitimone to you feel ineno ko o struggle to cope with such things. Wachane daktari kai
you.
kapka penjo the second question.
Ayie gi what has been said nikech okineka what we classify or the classification of what even a trauma constitute of what people take as triggers or stressors mag trauma bedo from a different context. And then I think we have left our socialization or our cultural context, which I had already said before. Nitie joklan moko maninyalo yudo ni ne oketgi ni gin joka thuondi akia ni iluongo gi nang'o. Koro gin gibiro, gin their socialization ni we are hardened, we cannot be broken by this small little things. So katitimnegi ang'o to they look like so they have perfected the conditioning and the resilience so that small little things will break again. Well, I think that is what is called is called at our our traits ma are different from mag your white ma or ma the ones that we are now in most of the textbooks. We have not done our own to find out ni triggers mwa triggers were mara could they be new one we are operating on a very high octave trigger to joka to kata kana mima small one to they will still expect the same thing. They could be an issue like that. But now what has come ni was it like parenting or socialization or the environmental issues, or we have left roots moko mane wanyalo paro ni kiyuko from your hereditary, or, and that's why I'm saying we are now beginning to look at the genomes. Could there be something in a certain gene from the African context that could make us look at the trigger and the reaction and the behaviors differently? Are there certain the percentages that we are seeing in the West, which is more researched and well reported differently? So, king'iyo kuom nyathinani en king'iye ochake mamawa. To kiniwuoyo to mamawa iwacho ni ni ng'ane ne thuon ma en kata kwach ne onyalo dhawgo diere manokwayo, Koro whether this got into her head ried me en thuon onyalo stand up to people, we still don't know. And the first one, which my mother-in-law, a little bit subtle, some whatever. So whether they are looking at this state market, talking any Anna should behave like so and so, I am not sure. That one is difficult. My firstborn, I have her now here with me, but it is very difficult to get ni. You wouldn't even know whether something is breaking, and sometimes we worry because she's the one that we need to talk to and find out what is in her heart. En complaint moko matindo tindo gi en kata iweyo ni ot nochako go kotin, ji nyalo bet piny to ti atiya motine ji temo kel chiemo e mesa moluok ni ji lewni temo go pasum ni everybody to bet kosetieko to bet piny osetieko ok owuo mang'eny, en ok complain. She's not a complainant person. This other one kikone no dhi luok ni to in last week donge ncha seluoko ng'ane bende koro kosedhi luoke. So I think what he's saying makes a lot of sense. We still need to do a lot of research. But what we cannot downplay is this. That trauma, childhood trauma is real. It manifests differently. I think from the Luo side, maybe we, at some point, we never used to see it a lot. Children were, and there was the code, the community that used to govern certain either disciplines or discipline, or how children were socialized. I know we were socialized. Makani onge a father figure to gurumoro. Kama mama wuok nyal discipline ka wiyo sechopo kama to konini adhir wuoru mang'ane mondo udhi wuo oko ni midikal kure mondo udhi wuo. So I think we had certain safeguards that used to also help us with this trauma. But right now, because we are living in society, most of us, we are not in the rural setting. We don't even sometimes nikech kiyudo kama ng'ato downplay ni gima notimni gima tin no koro ikecho koro idwa dhi kawo tol, mano be in ng'ato marili inyalo kweri to gima tin be ng'ato kawo ne tol. And I used to hear my mother saying ato ng'at matin gima wasewacho ni no koro idwa ka ng'ato ohero kawo tol to ka tol ok en mobro tho ken, those kind of things. Right now if you tell it to our children, if an mama wane ok lichne ni kidhi kawo tol, ayo nyisi ni an ni bende aja Kristo kisetho to be okabi iki e dalana ka be. My mother used to be very naughty. Ni to kisetho to be king'e ni kitho by taking a rope on your neck, be dalana ka okabi iki. Jo Kristo wan ok waiki jok modere. Koro you wonder ni this lady, she talking riddles or what is she talking to me? So we got just to understand, and in fact now it became a joke amongst ourselves. Ni ang'ane ni dwa dhi deri manowachi ni mama ok bi iki. You see, so if you look at it in the normal context, you find like it could have caused some trauma of some sort. But most of
but
I don't know
but
what kind of trauma.
daktari mama u psychologist mang'ula.
And
Psychologist mathuon nikech o correct but option midwari gono to boketi ni an ok abi wiki.
no be wachi di baseng'eyo.
Wabo witi kando ma barabara kanyo.
Maroko kucha.
Machi psychologist ma donge winjo kata nyithindo koro wacho ni kidwa deri to badi an ang'e ni mama ok bi iki.
Mama
Isewinjo kamano tiparo twice. Itakoi.
So we just used to laugh, and I think we still laugh about with her grandchildren. She's gone, but with the grandchildren, so we tell them the story. We have a session whenever they come to my house, guy. To we normally said, "Give to granny chane." Na no wacho ga nu wacho na no wacho nango koro wapimo negi ni wan tinde uyom yom grani ne kidwa kelo ne gik mudwa kelo nwa kani to kod ni dhi deri kucha to bro ka ubi wiki jo kanisa kiki jok mader. So sometimes we make joke about it, but if you look at this kind of generation, I have a nephew of my sister who follows me. You find he takes it so hard. It is so difficult that it's like an egg. We just have to, whatever you want to say, you have to think twice. But we also realize he went through some childhood trauma during the school for whatever reason. I think that question had been posed here. The mother had a lot of resources, but the mother could not give him what he needed enough, including even buying good clothing to make him, to make him comfortable. So at some point we had to chip in, but it's not that she didn't have. We realized that maybe it's because of the maybe the separation or divorce she went through with her father. So it's a boy that we've taken in our hands. We are looking after because his ego is very fragile. You really, even if you say something, Martin Mangato, no, mwawachone nyithiwa ur the community, nyithindo ma nyikwa mturufosa go wawachone. So you find any him, he will take it very differently. So I think what he said, it is true. We need to look at. Maybe they make up the character, whatever the white one may not work for us, but the African one. And I think each African community had their own resilience building mechanism. They were laid down, they were very practical, but we have lost them. So maybe where we are right now, we still had to look at that issue as a critical issue. But I think in our traditional sense, where we grew up, like maybe the intergenerational issue, my age may have not been threatened very much by those things. Ma ng'ato wacho kata no kidhi deri kucha tok mano to koro wachini. you know but right now, if you want to tell it to a child, you have to weigh, is this the right way I should say it, or I should frame it differently? I still can correct, but say it with what kind of communication and language, because they've also gone to interact with other they have been socialized in an environment where it is with the different communities, and they got to talk, and therefore you have no control with your own in house or community mechanism. They are intercommunal things that are passing across, that maybe people, the resilience that we could have gone from our elders or from our socialization processes in the community have broken down. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, GK, for bringing that aspect. One thing, ma, and go kapu kapenja the second question. One thing, ma, I'm happy about in Chris. I think earlier on, very lucky to have Christine in this field doing research. Nikechale on, she even mentioned Ramal. Think you're not come. She mentioned nini tika tamnanyithindo mokoma samoroni gijuogi, and I think with her accolades.
Ilal kure telo. Juogi ose
Ting'o joka.
juogi
Juoga mage.
juogi ose kalo koti.
Juoga osemage.
Juogi ose kawo mic.
Oluongo juogi, oin be ok juogi.
In pok jogi to pok igolo sadaka. Pok itimo sacrifice.
Mano bala.
Wendele. Pok iolo remo i microphone.
Yawa.
Jogi onyone. Aparo
Igone
noduogo.
gagi.
Oseduogo.
Wagone
Okay.
gagi oduogi.
Nitie break. Nitie break. Something bro. Yeah. Koro winja. Nene.
Nowapenjo ni igine iluongo nying juogi to
Juogi.
pok itimo sango i mic. Magidhi kod mic.
Yeah. So I'm so happy ni earlier on Dr. Christine talked about Jogi. It means they are in the right track doing this research about, psychologically on the African context. Kakara Moto mentioned. But at the second question, mabende japawinjo amoro penjo Dr. Christine, in many schools, challenging behavior is often treated as a disciplinary issue rather than a mental health concern. How can teachers, parents, and school administrators distinguish between deliberate misconduct and a behavior that may be a manifestation of unresolved childhood trauma? I think the Luo girl had asked this question before, but maybe Joma Penjo.
Mm-hmm.
Between a
Hello, Gineno de.
The mic, no.
Hello, Anyola yudo mic no tarali.
Anelo koere.
Chako laore
yani,
ganyuola.
GK
Anyola chako laure kodi.
GK
yani,
kane pok ibiro,
Mm.
chalo gima in mibiro gi jogi.
yeah, yeah, mana di.
Bado to nyaka.
Okay,
Mano is a
okuwinjo
must.
penjo.
Wawinjo mana
Okuwinjo penjo.
matin. Wawinjo
Let me just
matin.
repeat it. I'm fully back. In many schools, challenging behavior is often treated as a disciplinary issue rather than a mental health concern. How can teachers, parents, uh, and school administrators distinguish between deliberate misconduct and behavior that may be a manifestation of unresolved childhood trauma? It had been handled in a certain way, but I think because jawinjo penjo maybe okay in case I made iwuoyo mokwongo cha. So just briefly, Dr. Christine.
Erokamano. Yawa asewache mokwongo, to I think we will go through it again. Right now there are a lot of challenges, and there are real issues in the mental and psychosocial space which needs to be handled. They are also at the I said need the development of the brain even at the home level. When you have parents who either shower you with they substitute love with material, and the being absent. So the issue, like you have always been given the ownership that you always had your way and the highway is real. But also those that have gone through trauma of not being loved at home, they get it elsewhere, is a real challenge. But that notwithstanding, there are those that are not bad, but then there are those that are really challenged, that they have really mental health issues. But at the school level, the behavior pattern, the way they you see the punishment, or the punishment system, or whatever, they will not, somebody, an adult may not linger, and what this does to eh, childhood trauma does, or wounds do to children, that sometimes there will be a cohort, there will be a certain percentage that will not want to engage and listen to adults, because the language of communication, they will feel that adults are either just want them to be subjected, or humiliate them. So that becomes a real big difficulties if the teachers do not understand that aspect. And also knowing that the schools are now having teachers that do not are posted from outside, and because of the workload or the number of the teachers, they have no time to sit down the way we were. You could be called into a school. By the time Uketi is a deputy or career, there was somebody that was guiding and counseling, which have broken down in schools. They are no longer there. The workload is very high. But even when they are there, I have seen a culture in school where teachers were not concerned as the previous teachers that taught us. in nyathi ng'ato kisebiro, the relationship between your parents and them is money. The relation between you and whatever you need to perform, these are the things that concern your life. You are growing, you have your social needs, you have our emotional needs to be contained, you are growing, you have your relationship, maybe you are getting into puberty, you need hormones are running haywire. Somebody needs to understand that. In the end, the school also has different breeds of people. We have put them nyithi jok manigo. They are those that can wield a lot of experience. They come from town. They can be the ones that are calling the shots, and 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 therefore that environment hasn't been managed very well. So you find that a normal trait of a behavior is already been classified as this. So there is no a lot of conversation taking place. And I thought, like where I thought that the teachers would be the best people to understand children and begin to or learners to talk to them and understand where they come from. I have been I've been in school boards, many of them as the chair, and I found that is not very well managed. I've been only in one school where I have gotten the deputy principal that knows each and every child, and he knows how they behave, and he calls them and he talks to them. We have not had a problem in that school at all. But where that conversation does not take place, and with this thing notion that we have taken that now we have rights, and I think there's a lot of rights that have not been contextualized. What then constitutes you right in a school environment? If you are given like omena, that is offensive. But I guess we have also, children have also seen a lot of misgiving in the management of the schools. So it is both ways. It comes both from the children being misunderstood, but it also comes from the schools also pushing things down the throat of children to cope with the monies that have not gone to school. They cut things arbitrarily without saying why now this was in your diet, but it is now not been taken. You used to have this, and then it is taken out arbitrarily without saying the reason why we are doing this is this, but your goal you will still do this. I know I've handled certain schools like that. So we need just to work around. There are definitely children that are really need care, need the mental care and counseling and treatment, even clinical psychologists to sit with them down and help them. But that help is not in school. So it may manifest into anger, aggressiveness, irritability, bad behavior. So that I do agree. But there are also those that we had said earlier that just want to come to certain school. You will find that they have been sent out of so many schools because when they come to the peer group, they push the boundaries and they suggest what needs to be done. I had said about Changuli boys, where a friend, a son, a family that I know very well went through very trauma, and that affected the whole family until today. So I want to agree, yes, there are those that are misunderstood. But even when the misunderstanding is coming there, if there is a system that could realize that this is mental health or this is just a behavior deviance, but from where that is come from? Is it just a bad behavior? Or is it that this child is crying out for some help that they need or some misunderstanding that has cropped about? I think the mechanism for redress is what we are calling for. And then help to be in the school where if somebody is psychosocial is not stable, it could just be emotional disturbance that come through. Either they came from home, they walked. Recently I handled one in Siaya, in my home area, where children went. They have been performing football and they've been number one. This particular time, the teacher did not want to give them a bus, so he told the school next to carry to get the boys to take them to a place where they were going to do football, and that school they were going to compete. So they deliberately left them behind. So the boys walked on their feet, I think, until from Asembo to somewhere in Sakwa. So when they arrived, immediately they arrived, they were told to get into the field to play. They were exhausted. Then they lost that much. When they came, the school has been going through a lot of turmoil. They wanted to ban the school. The principal right now is getting a little bit rough. So we have asked for somebody to talk to them, but those kind of misunderstanding. So it starts from there. The whole school get the children all gang up to get a perception about the teacher. Then the relationship, the teachers also, when we called for the parents, they did not want to acknowledge. I think when a mistake has been done, even to a child, even your own child, the best thing to do is just to say, ma'am, this may have happened to this, but I'm sorry. Yeah, it was not meant. We thought that this will happen, but we are sorry if that, because those children went and they lost their football, then they came back on foot again late in the night. So for us, we thought that that was a matter that the administration did not handle properly. So I hope that I've given example. I may have gone around not better like when we started, but yes, I want to acknowledge there are those that have been understood. There are those that overtly are supposed to be. But any human being, if you sit them down and you talk to them, they reform. That is what I believe. I believe there's no bad person that cannot be reformed. The ones that cannot be reformed are very few. The percentage of people that cannot be talked to and get to understand to reform are very few.
Thank you so much, Mama Christy. I'll go straight to the third. There was a third one, but it's also a repetition of what we've just said. So I'm gonna jump to the last fourth one, which says just came through, and he say reflecting on the tragedy of Utumishi Academy fire. My niece, and I've listened to Daktari as she speaks, and I understand people. I think he or she wanted to say people go through these things differently. My niece lost a friend, a close friend, that they started being friends. They went to the school the same day, entered the school the same day, and she lost her friend. She has never been the same. A number of interventions have been put in place, and she's trying, but up to now, she can cry for 24 hours nonstop when she starts. And it's affecting us so much, so much. We have a psychologist, we have every help from different people who are coming through. But what can, from a public health perspective, what can the Daktari add that can say to us, that can at least give us something to do? Maybe we are not doing the right things, or maybe we are not getting the right help. And I've read it as it came. I've not added or deducted anything from it. Daktari.
Erokamano. First of all, let me, my heart goes to that family because it's really a difficult situation when you find yourself in that kind of scenario with a very promising girl, but now has lost a friend, and now she's herself struggling and the family is struggling. It is difficult. Let me acknowledge that. The next thing, I'm glad that they have been able to look for help. However, the help they feel that is not well, it may be that the intensity of what affected her, if she was in the fire, she managed to get out, or if the lady was in a different dormitory and they were just friends. I don't know the circumstance. But whatever it is, whoever that is looking after and just needs to find out what is the main issue why. Crying is good, but crying 24 hours is a little bit too painful, and it's something that we need to find out what is it that what kind of they were friends, yes, but there must have been something that they both were benefiting from each other. Either they were studying together, and this person was, either she was looking at this person and she feels that the loss is too heavy. And because it's an acute loss and the intensity is high, I think whoever there's the therapist or the psychologist that is dealing with the matter need to find out what are perhaps the anxiety. I don't know if they have managed to get her to talk where the source of the pain, what is the greatest area of pain and loss. Because once that has been the diagnosis that's been made, then perhaps a treatment plan or the therapy that needs to be done needs to be instituted. If it is pain that cannot be treated by just talking, then they are normally stimulations or whatever on the brain that needs to be done to help her to get back on her feet and to get back to school. So that is doing the diagnosis, I think, needs to find out and see whether the counseling alone would be able to get that pain out, at least reduce the pain. It is something she will work with for a long time, because that tragedy was something that even if you are an adult, you cannot get back quickly. But also, I wonder how the initial when they I think that is one something that was really, I did not like the way it was treated, because with the police closing the army, you are not supposed to go here. Parents were not being talked to nicely. I think it's something that also was aggravated by the way the issue was handled. But that notwithstanding, we want to focus on the girl to get the girl back to the field. So I don't know the kind of person that are treating her, but I guess if they get to manage to get the real issue that is bothering her, not just calling this, you have lost a friend now, you have to move on. Sometimes we are very simplistic, and then somebody is really having a deep pain that needs to be addressed. If that is found, if our normal counseling or therapies that we give cannot help, because sometimes we give you therapy, you do things because therapy depends on what we give you to do, the coping mechanism. If that cannot be done, there are active medical therapies that we do, stimulation, which is not done by the therapists like ourselves, but which are done by people now who are in the other field. The referral needs to be done to a person who can deal with it actively. For now, that's what I can say. I don't know the exact environment where she is, what happened, but that's what I would suggest. Maybe that's what is happening, but maybe the people have also discussed and found out, but it is also that she's so affected that it will take a long time to turn around. But she needs to be turned around quickly, because I realized that people had gone back to that school. So meaning, if she's gone back to school with that 24-hour, I don't know whether we are re-traumatizing, because that will be re-traumatization, or because we are taking her back to that same environment, or she has been removed from that environment. So it is a situation that require our prayer and empathy, and it's something that we need the girl to get back to her feet. We need to do everything possible to get her back to her feet. So whoever that is looking at the situation need to look at it holistically. If it's not possible to do with the counseling and therapies that we normally tell them to do, exercises and the like, then active medical intervention need to be taken. She needs to be sent for active medical intervention.
Thank you. Thank you,
One
Daktari. Thank you so much,
one
Daktari. Yes, GK.
managi moro again, it is not the thing that people like to hear, but ginyalo, just a point of consideration. Ginyalo really look at it not as somebody who has lost a friend, but somebody who has lost a lover.
Exactly.
Not a friend, but a lover.
Mm.
Majority of, and statistically, majority of the girls, they have their first lesbian relationships in the school. But en gimo konyal wacho ni ati this is the situation. So bobet kanyo ko weep, but otemo wacho nun this is what is happening, but okia kako bongisin this is what is happening. Nikech no kutere is school
To
to have
unbook,
relationships.
we are not
Mm.
listening. What we enjoy
Mm.
but we are not listening to what she's not saying.
Okwa observe kata what she's saying. Nikech what do and that school was interesting because it brought that into perspective. Kaka
Mm.
nowacho that time, we always think of girls as the demure ones, the ones who don't rebel, who don't burn domes. And this time they showed us they're also people. They're just human beings.
Mm.
It's
Correct.
not that girls are a purer, nicer, softer part of human beings. Again, just human beings.
Mm.
Maybe again experience the world different, but still human beings.
Mm.
So Mano is one, and Ineno kendo in terms of this school, Aneno my mana wacho culture. Pok awinjo anyone who is suggesting doing a ritual for them just to ease their conscience. Because
Mm.
these were some of the things Manua Timo, but now it's taken as nonsense.
Mm.
Just a ritual even for the girl herself. Okay, some of these things Giokinyal understand, but it eases your own psychology. At least something happened, something paid, some animal died. Wakawagiga just as these evil, superstitious things, but Sechemoko, they had very practical, psychological purposes.
Effects. Mm.
Ni kata kotim gima na ritual, no koro we've clarified, we've cleaned the space. Nikech ginenoga Nigerian movies. Koro kiketo gino ke, what the Nigerian movie, nikech this cannot be explained easily. Let's do this ritual, but you biro. But mana paro ok nyal timre nikech the parents would be the first ones and the pastors would be the first ones march. And now it is a devil worshipping school.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's that space for rituals just
Mm.
to ease the minds of the children. Nikech as much as the parents want to talk, none of them experience such a thing.
Mm.
None of them experience such a thing at that age. So again, they will not be the same girls ever again. That's what I think. They will not be the same girls ever again. So Gidwara very special. Obed ritual, obed but nyaka dwok gi a bit. Because that was different. Wadwok nigo.
Erokamano JK. Atieka. I'm handing over to time be aneno kodhi. GK aspect Mikelo is important. Mama Christine, Dr. Christine, what you've said is the key. Anba paro manani another aspect that we could relook at, and Daktari, this I learned from you a few years back. The idea mar the person in contact. Ka onge relationship, ka these people are not connecting, and I mean the psychologist or whoever, the therapist that is with this kid also. If there is not that connection, whatever this person is doing is water passing under the bridge. Ochal gi japuonj. Nyathi nyalo bedo noluoro kwano kata oluoro English. Ok noluoro, ok dwar English, ok dwar kwano. Not because nokia kwano kata okia English. It's because the teacher's behavior, kata kaka the teacher is acting around that subject or around that particular child makes the child rebel from the subject. Apparent manner is another aspect. Back to you, the Luga.
Ouda apenji Ouda. Nawinjo ka daktari wacho ni jotuoro gin traumatized by nigi grow it one. Ing'eni gino kara bedo jatuoro be en a traumatic experience nikech aneno ka jotown wan ema wa dictate the issues to jotuoro gin mana traumatized. Akia ni nyalo wacho nadi nikech daktari oyawo wang'a kanyo.
Okabi yweyo. Daktari kelo lweny. Okabi.
Yeah, gima ande makele to anawacho na wuoyo kaka human being. Yeah.
Jotuoro leo.
Jotuoro nigi wach.
Jotuoro nigi wach. Aduoko ni the Lugal. Sa aneno kadhi ok wadwar keto daktari too much. Koro
Erokamano. Daktari, we are really grateful. We appreciate you taking your time to be with us tonight. And Kaka, the Luo girl, I've learned a lot as a person relating to my early childhood and things that I'm still holding on to. maybe with with ill intention for revenge or whatever. If I'm planning to project them, I've somehow learned how I can, make a step in trying to heal them. And it's been a very nice interactive session of learning. Uh, kwa wasikilizaji wetu tumeshukuru sana. The time you've taken cannot be taken for granted, and thank you so much for being with us. My co-host, Luo Galto, thank you for being here with us. And Auda, I'm learning bit by bit, and it's getting interesting. So, uh, thank you. Alafu GK, I've suffered today, Leo, but
Manya,
then you
manya,
always being here with us, giving us the other side, look from the
manya,
what,
manya iyud love ni we trauma.
Where get from?
giving us
Yeah.
a
Anie medicine to your trauma. Weri gweche mang'eny.
into kendo
Okiwinjo
kibiro
kaka
tanyuola
daktari
bila
owacho.
aora.
Kiwinjo kaka daktari owacho. It might be where you're not looking at.
Mm.
You're healing.
Look elsewhere. Koro
Now I'm getting
Yeah.
shy.
gima wacho ni gejo ni erokamano kuom giving me the opportunity. I'm not the well, ji share ideas. I think ni mai en a very important thing nikech ji learn both ways and benda learn. I just want to say ni nyako man 24-hour cry is must be very deep pain. And that very deep pain we must begin to find where it is. We must begin to look at how to. I also acknowledge that gima notimore school no as a community, I agree. Whatever way it takes to make to appease, ka ne gin kanyo koro giseneno that place maybe is contaminated according to their view. They have been forced back. Their lives are not going to be the same. Let's find out like. Joluo chon ne nyalo dhi keto ng'ato kwaro remo kanyo gini koro oselal ok nuchak winj jogi be duondgi ok bi winjo because maybe even in their whatever when they have trauma the issue they are still having, they are replaying their trauma. Sometimes those cries that were there, they were there, some of them still are suffering. So I take to think that school returning very soon without realizing or without subjecting those girls to re-traumatization is an important thing. Gima be nadwa wacho osiepa kaka isewacho ni wan kae kata wan bende wadhi through, kiwinjo ka mama wacho ni koni dhi kawa katol kihero tideri, so we went through those kind of things, but maybe during our time there was still the community anchor and the way the socialization system was. To koro gima adwa encourage ni yani kata mana bed ni ok ne wayude through re-traumatization and triggers mag trauma are so many. And I was widowed very early in life. I've grown up with my children. But sometimes people pinch it, but into so resilience. How have you managed? I have learned to do self-care. I have done to do self-care, a lot of self-care. I have learned to let go. I have lost a lot of property when I lived in South Africa. I left my house. When I came back, somebody, a Kenyan lady, has taken the full house with my high end whatever. I don't have my things. They recently, when my children asked me, "Are you not going to follow those things to bring them back?" I said, "You know what? There's much more to life. I can lose this, but because I still have my hands to do things, I can still regain them." So sometimes when trauma happens, it's the way you want to do it. But the most important therapy first is to acknowledge it. It has happened, it has affected you. But at what point do you go? What is the bigger picture? What does it hold you? Because sometimes it hinders you moving forward with maybe some other things that the Lord may have given you to regain what you have lost. So for me, I think that if we can get it's easily said, it is not very easy to do, but if we can get to a place where we can say, I have found either new connections, which then help me to talk deeper. And we have told you if you have a connection that helps you to to get out of your old childhood trauma and move yourself, move the needle forward so that you can also, you don't have to remember them. I also want to talk about, there's a lot of rivalry, family rivalry in our place korwa kocha. Seche moko nyathi ume odu, ok ing'eyo ni in igalo ni here kabisa, timo ni a lot of things, to kara gin e jok ma koro gin ka gineno ki in achiel idhi maber, to ni ng'ani koro oparo ni en president wa. So those kind of talk sometimes also they get us traumatized and discouraged, but I want to pray God that we will turn our leaf very quickly and we will heal. We will find a space where healing can take place in a non-threatening environment and a safe place, so that your things are not put out there. And may God bless us all even as we continue, because this will still continue to happen, but we need to continue healing. So Eruru Kamano for the opportunity, and I appreciate.
Thank you very much. Auda, I aparapara nikatana. I am throughout the Manadu Panigodo so that you close. Unless Ramoth has something else to say or just some closing remarks.
Ah, an katieko adwa wacho ni iwinjo kaka daktari owacho, there are some
Mm.
connections that could heal you from your childhood traumas.
Okay.
So lu kaka
Awinjo,
daktari,
awinjo.
as the doctor has prescribed,
Mm.
kik delay ahinya. Birthday.
Yeah,
Birthday.
I
But
had connections. I didn't hear people.
okay. Daktari erokamano sana for this opportunity. And it would be interesting next time we enjoy even how you went through some of these things. Nikech, I think especially community was some of the ladies we never get to hear how they went through, how they looked at the situation, how they did this. Nikech, that is golden for the next generation. Mano nyalo konyowa somewhere for trauma, nikech even looking at your experience, ng'ato nyalo wacho ni Dr. Sadia went through this and they went through it like this. Nikech need ga models wanyalo model ourselves after. So kata bedo ni pok awinjo somebody who's widowed young and what they went through. Awach adier, these are just stories I hear sometimes, but it would be really ka in free with that, ka in open to share that. That would be quite an experience, man. I think there would be a lot to learn from them. Only if you're willing. But Erokamano for this opportunity. Nin Kodwaka, your presence was not for granted. We appreciate kabisa. Erokamano. Auda wadwok nigo.
An gi feedback kapok daktari odhi. An gi 8 ok giwache the same way, but giwache koro ka kete in directly enemy. Could daktari please, could you please create a section for daktari to come for the second part of this?
Yeah.
Mano about 8 reactions. The person who asked about the kid, actually, you guys don't know what you have done. This is the best forum that I'm happy I came here, because I've just gotten, possibly I'm leaving this place, and my sister might have just gotten the medicine that we've been looking for. So oko specify nikech wacho gik mang'eny, daktari owuoyo, Ramoth owuoyo. So oko specify which of them, but owacho ni the sister must have gotten what they have been looking for. That tells that daktari, you are not just here for granted. It was meant to be, because apparently, or most likely, this girl might just get the help that they have been looking for, and it has been elusive from your talk and possibly what Ramoth has added. En a number of lwedo pak gi lwedo kuom daktari. Yawa, kelunwa uru daktari kendo,
Telo, just aside, by the way, Ngamoro, that message. Ngamoro, the message for the girl.
yeah.
wago erokamano sana nikech we've talked about this issue. We've really talked about this issue. We've heard about this issue, but you know, somebody who is close to somebody who experienced it.
Yes.
We've still not found. Wago erokamano sana that you're able to share this. We
Yes.
really, really appreciate. Most of the people worry about these people as if it's a movie we are watching. But in this, what is happening
let
to a
me just
person?
make it clear
Erokamano.
that this is my
Mm.
sister's daughter I'm talking about. Manume say,
Mm.
yeah.
Erokamano sana. I have not had such a close encounter. And Awinjogimana people are debating as if it is a movie. Erokamano sana. Appreciate. Dembeletel.
Yeah, and our heart goes out to the family still. And I think, Daktari, we appreciate you because you've still put this fire. It's still burning, this fire of Utumishi and generally. And you are still mentioning Kianguli. I'm sure Jiwigino will give te. Nobody's they're not talking about something that happened 4 months ago. How can they talk about something that happened years ago? But in Podimak Kianguli, you always give it as an example. And it means that that's why we said in this program, we are always going to look at the things that people have forgotten, and we remind our people Utumishi Academy needs to do something, and we know we can't deliberate and we can't dictate it to them, but we keep them into our prayers. And look, possibly because when we laid out the ground, the reason for this topic, it actually emanated from Utumishi Academy, because we had a whole week when it happened. We dedicated the whole week for that. Those girls, then this Daktari has girls, I have girls, Ramoth has girls, and we have the Luo girls. So I think it was around that the feel of a mother, the feel of a father to girls. And so we are not in their shoes. They are the ones wearing the shoes, especially this sister to the to one of the auntie to one of the girls that we're talking about. But she has said, and she said it, that she might have just gotten what they might have been looking for, and it has been very elusive. And so the Luo girl 1 and 2, Dr. Christine Sadia, I think this was destined to happen so that something we can heal one heart, one family. I think you've just healed one family. Moving forward, if they can follow through what they need to do properly. And I appreciate you, GK Ramoth, I appreciate you always. To our audience, those who are listening to us, part of this, the reason we did this came from you, because you asked for such a forum. We can assure you that Fridays we're gonna be doing much of this, so that we talk about practical issues. And as Ramoth has also pointed out, I think we have to bring, and others, about 8-9 people are saying, please bring back Daktari. So I think we'll organize another session where we'll go possibly deeper into personal experiences and how to get out of this. Daktari, you've mentioned South Africa and what you've just said, and it hits so hard, because I'm going through a situation with friends. I'm going through a situation with people, not friends, but people I know who have lost the cars have been taken away from them. 2 days ago, a salon was snatched from another lady. The other week, the other one refused to with it, broke everything down. This one yesterday, they simply told her to walk, and she took a walk and left everything there. And it is so sad, and it's happening. So we also pray for you over that issue that happened. It's not a good thing to. I know personally, I know the value of what you're talking about, especially in high-end estates in South Africa. And therefore, I think my grandmother used to say, the best teacher is one who gives examples with themselves. I think we can agree that we had a best teacher with us this evening. To wadwa gonye mondo dhi kech sa osela. To daktari ka in gi wach mogik, tak an miwacho ne mogik, but mogik kabisa ka in go mago riti ne joma winji gi to gidwari kendo, koro we'll organize that. And then we release you. Erokamano.
Erokamano. Erokamano uru. An bende ago erokamano ka if this is gima ne olosi ni wanyalo heal even if it's one soul, we appreciate it. Wadwa nyiso family no ni wan kodgi e lemo, wan kodgi e paro, pod en gima ruo, to whatever possible we'll be able to handhold and just even in prayer, even in the simple symbolic way that we can. But I think we cannot downplay the pain that really happened to that girl. She needs to be rehabilitated. She needs to be got. She needs to be helped to go back to her feet. For me, that is my prayer. For the rest, muti winjowa erokamano, an be aduoko erokamano ni giving the opportunity. It is a both way affair. So, Anbe, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to those that have been listening. If with the Luo girls, we have been able to do something that is good. This is what the community is all about. I know we are facing a political situation. Part of our analysis that I'm doing right now is how the political turmoil in Kenya, or uh, the violence that are politically instigated since independence has happened, particularly from the Luo side to Kenyans, but particularly from our side. So that is something that is really deep, and you find sometimes if you see our boys generations behaving in an aggressive manner, we are beginning to think that some of this may have come from some of the marginalization and the things that, but okadwa ni mondo wadwele on it until the results are out. We are facing another what it may be a very volatile situation. So I think it is just to begin to build our resilience and self-care, that some of the things that are being said, guard your heart. We find a technique, we've authored a manual on how to do self-care. So we do hope that if we have given it particularly to healthcare providers, but it can be applicable to both. So, and I'm grateful, sewinjo ni dwana duogi, but we will be able to talk with George Badai and see when we can schedule another talk. Ka ji learn is a very important thing, nikech knowledge man nyalo mana miyo ji kapod iwuoyo kaka koro pod wawuoyoni. To kisetieko misedhi kamoro, to koro kok nindiko buk, to koro onge kamikete. Koro erokamano kuom giving me the opportunity. For that family, I keep on praying. I'll particularly put you in my prayer, and may God continue to bless you. It's a difficult situation. We empathize, but we want to do something actively for that girl to get back. So the caregivers that are looking after her, let them look deeper, let them get that girl back on her feet. Like you have said, even if it's one soul that has been restored, that is what the Lord wanted us to do today, and we thank Him for that. So erokamano, God bless you. Koroka wuok to I'll be okay. I have an early morning engagement at I think Two Rivers tomorrow at 9. So I will leave early. I would have wanted to be with you, but God bless you. Thank you, the Luo girls, for giving me the opportunity. Another Luo.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
I appreciate that you brought me here. So thank you for doing the linking and for talking with us the other day, and for doing the beautiful poster that you did for me. I appreciate whoever did the poster. It was very catchy and nice. I appreciate it. So God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daktari. God bless you in Bende. Wabro wuoyo e tok tent. Nyasaye ogwedhi. Erokamano, erokamano. We are indebted to you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Go riti koso itieko.
Anasego.
Anatieko.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
Anatieko.
Okay. All right. Erokamano. Erokamano, Daktari. Koro kata kiwuok to wamor. Erokamano. GK, aparo ni
Mm.
for me the end is the most beautiful part of it. I think I'm overwhelmed with emotions ni that could happen, and I think that is the reason why these jodongogi, they don't get these things wrong.
Mm.
Nikeche samoro ji paro ga manana culture. Jodongo can heal you. Jodongogi can heal you from any any angle. They don't have parameters. And me, I think the end has been the most beautiful part. And we thank Dr. Christine Nikech Ango Mokelo. Then you came in. So I
But
think these people
telo pod en culture nikech niwach when culture lives in people.
exactly.
If the people are hurting, if the people are going through stuff, and if the people are not together, then the culture cannot survive. And odito.
Mm.
So
They
still
look,
one culture. Mm.
yeah. Thank you so much, GK. Thank you. And I think ni sama de luogal yuak ni to daka winyi dual moro. I was also
Ah,
praying
but
you come.
telo. Ka owuok to kwaya, ka biro to gelo resistance, jogi dwaro ga nade?
Mano
Na
pro
penja penja.
mano pro wacho e romo magalamoro. Otherwise,
Ne kaka owita oko telo ni nopenja penja.
Ramor,
Eh,
Ramor.
eh. Kakiloko duondi noseng'isa everything. Telo
Ne,
wewa
ne,
gi.
ne, ne, ne,
Eh.
ne.
Ineno telo, ineno. Aya.
Kama
An
biro
aneno.
yudi biro chulo gowite manyuolo selawa godo ayi.
amor
Erokamano
kodu,
Duogal. Erokamano Duogal for hosting ma.
amor kodu kendo dholuo
Timo
gal
tich maber.
kabisa GK. Wach tiek, wach tieke.
Timo tich maber. Kendo amor sana. Hopefully next kinde morono kendo watime. Bed kod opportunity mar timo gini nikech wan very happy ka the women also are talking. Gibe gin gi gik ma gidwa wacho. Wang'eyo ni seche moko wa concentrate ga as men, but the women also nitie odwa ni gibed gi space ma ginyalo wacho what they really need, what is affecting them kamano kamano. Eka wabobet kod society ma healthy. Erokamano sana kuom tijni.
You're welcome.
Ang'e ni koro chunyi omor.
Adhi nindo gi wuoche.
Joshua Duok
An
nigo tena.
aba mor ahinya. The Lugal, you people have done a fantastic job, to be honest. That was awesome. And I'm saying it from my heart. I'm not just saying it for the sake of saying it. Nikech gimomiyo maber. You like Ramoth is saying, un bende unigi what you want to bring out, talk out. Without our input, without our interference, one be one jo penjo. Because like Ramoth always says, we experience there are things that only women can understand. Wanyalo wuondre ni wawinjo gi we don't. We can't. So we are thankful ni Dr. Christine was here and you people could engage openly and freely and ask each other questions and talk from your hearts. And a number of people also sent the ladies. Actually, have realized that all the messages were sent by ladies, which is quite interesting and quite. I'm happy about that. The most majority of people wanting her back are ladies. Actually, there is a man who has said, "Guys, this speaks to us. There are things we've been overlooking." So you see, mano bende ng'at magino touch nikech gik ma wawuoyo about gi. Possibly your touch kamoro childhood, something happened that it was not handled properly. So I'm happy that this happened. To our people manka, jogo mawinjowa through X, jogo mawinjowa through YouTube. I have a number of an gi mashemeji, an gi brothers, an gang'o, gin ke YouTube kocha, giwacho ni wasedonjo wan ka sama wachako. Those who have come through Subtac, those who have come through every other way that you've come, Facebook and all that. We want to thank you for being here. We want to thank you for attending this session and being part and parcel of it. I just want to hope you picked up one thing from the doctors she was speaking, that as a parent, or even as a parent to young kids, a parent to teenagers, a parent to grown-up kids, and also you yourself as a parent, there must have been something that you picked up that might go a long way, just like what has happened to the Utumishi issue. We are so thankful that I've also Ramot, actually it's true that we have just today, I think, is we've got the closest to that situation. We've been talking generally, and therefore aparo ni koro samoan goni sato sedhi mang'eny, but abro wuoyo gi DJ mondo omiwa matin to wagone ne daktari oriti gi thum madala gi kaka okwayo kae to DJ nyalo loke kete modwaro matin, wagoye matin kawuono Friday. Ero uru kamano ahinya, ero uru kamano. Those who are, if you have a question you want to ask and all that, you will know how to today. You can still say ask, we'll get an answer for you. Don't worry. Thank you so much. The Lugal, thank you. GK, thank you. The other Lugal dropped. Yeah, she dropped.
Yeah.
All right. But she's hearing us, I know.
Yeah.
Well, that was it. It has been a nice session, a nice for high day. So koro walo regi ochien kabasele nikech wagone mamoriti.
George,
Maber. Yes.
Ochieng Kabasela nyinge machielo ne ng'a?
Luna Kidi.
Machielo.
Ochien kabasele ogole wuongi.
Dhi mbele idhi yude pok itieko.
Tiambusha?
Ochieng Kabasela iluongo ni Hanjulas Nyapanji. Ogola koro.
GK.
You'll find it. NHN Hanjulas Nyapanji.
Telo an ka ok anyal wuoyo nikech ma is tuoro conversation. So
ang'eyo.
yeah, anything. Casual upload.
It's okay. You guys have a good night.
Yeah. Achi Maria. Achi Maria mpenzi. Sea. Mtoto ya shule. Jina yake Achi Maria. Kuja mzuri. Luna Kidi. Jabenya mama Achi Maria. Jabenya mama gombone nito ionge. Achien sweet Maria. Nyanjo kano mama shemeji yuola. Achien sweet taero nyarma. Achien sweet taero nyarma. Nyaka nyocha chop Nairobi City. Okane na Chien Maria yuora. Nyathi maber malando sana. Nyathi malongo maero sana. Achingu tekingo mwambe shemeji. Achiko ke chalo mula nyamama. Yawa tindi lalga minga shemeji. Natumito kawi ashemeji. Anati mangoa Achi Maria. Ngano kaogopa nyathi godiko. Jabenya mama Achi Maria. Jabenya mama gombone nito ionge. Achien sweet Maria. Nyadoka no mama shemeji yuora. Achien sweet taero nyarma. Achien sweet taero nyarma. Nyaka nyocha chop Nairobi City. Ogane na Chien Maria yuora. Nyathi maber malando sana. Nyathi malongo maero sana. Achingu tekingo mwambe shemeji.
Niko ramo gajuang kau ya pokowil. Kiny waromo. Kawa di deep gi some of the conversations mwaseka bet go with GK about. Kikuiwi, yara omokin.
Chiko ke chalo mula nyamama yawatindilal gaminga shemeji ngatomito kawi ashemeji anatima ngowa achimaria ngano kaugopa nyathigo digo